I moved into a duplex on the outskirts of a small Ohio town, quiet, cold in the winter, but the kind of place where people nod at you from their porch with a beer in hand. I was 31, just divorced, and needed somewhere cheap. The place wasn't much, but it had space and no shared walls, just a big attic, which the landlord said was sealed off. He said it used to be one house until they split it in two. My neighbor was an older man named Harold. Didn't say much. Lived alone, no car, just walked to town with a hunched back and a dead-eyed stare. Friendly enough, I guess. The first weird thing was the footsteps. Not above me. No next door. Every night, around 2 a.m., I'd hear pacing on the other side of the wall. My bedroom backed up to Harold's, but the pattern was too fast, too sharp. Not how an old man would walk. It sounded like someone younger. Angry. Sharp heels on wood. Back and forth, back and forth. I knocked once. Nothing. The next night, it happened again. So I texted the landlord. He replied, "That side doesn't have an attic. Yours does. It's just sealed up." I didn't understand. The steps weren't above. They were beside me, unless the sound carried weird through the walls. Then came the light. One night I couldn't sleep, so I walked outside to smoke. I looked up at the side of the house and saw a small round window above Harold's unit. The attic window. Light inside. Faint. Dot. Flickering. G-wine. Like a candle. But here's the thing, I had never seen a window there before. I stared at it for a long time, and then a face moved past. Pale. Gaunt-ish. Watching me. The light went out. The next morning, I went to Harold's door. He opened it slowly. His face looked like he hadn't slept in years. "Do you have an attic?" I asked. He looked over his shoulder like he expected someone behind him. Then he said, "No, I don't go up there." "But you just said, I don't go up there." He closed the door. That night, I couldn't sleep. I kept thinking about that window. At 2:13 a.m., the footsteps started again, but this time, they were above me, and then a knock at my ceiling. Not a creak, not a house noise, a knock, measured, like someone trying to get my attention. I froze in bed, listening. Then my phone lit up. Unknown number. One text. "One, you see me now." I didn't reply, just turned my phone off. I've moved since then. Left everything deposit, furniture, clothes. But sometimes, late at night, when the wind rattles my windows, I swear I hear footsteps pacing above me. When I first moved into my apartment complex in Minnesota, I thought I hit the jackpot. Quiet street, clean building, and a corner unit on the second floor that gave me a perfect view of the neighborhood. It was peaceful. Almost too peaceful. Almost too peaceful. The unit across from mine had been vacant for a while. Every time I passed it, the blinds were shut, and a yellowing notice from the building manager was still taped to the door. "Pending inspection." That's all it said. About 2 weeks after moving in, I started seeing someone inside. It began one night when I went to the kitchen to grab water. I looked out my window, and for a split second I saw a movement across the way. The blinds shifted just a little, like someone had been watching me, and quickly moved back. I stood there, waiting. Nothing. Next morning the blinds were still shut, but something was different. The notice, the one that had been curling and sun-faded, was gone. I asked the building manager, a guy named Curtis, if someone had moved in. He just laughed. "Not yet. That unit's still sealed. Pipes need replacing. We haven't even shown it." "But I saw someone inside last night," I said. He raised a brow. "Was it a woman? Thin, long, dark hair?" My stomach dropped. "Yeah, why?" Curtis hesitated, like he regretted saying anything. Then, "That's not the first time someone's mentioned her. Few years back, a tenant said he saw her too. But that place has been empty since 2018. No power. No running water. No running water." I didn't know what to say. I tried to shake it off. Maybe it was my imagination. But over the next few nights, I started seeing her more often. Same window. Same quick motion. Sometimes she was standing perfectly still, just watching. I thought about calling the police, but what would I say? There's a ghost woman watching me through an apartment window. I'd be laughed out of the precinct. One night, I got brave. I grabbed a flashlight and crossed the hall. The hallway was dead silent. I knocked on the door. No answer. The air smelled like wet drywall and dust. I turned the knob. It didn't budge. But as I stepped back, I saw something that made me stop cold. Behind the glass, through the tiny gap in the blinds, an eye, wide open, unblinking. Watching me. I stepped back, heart racing, then tap, tap, tap from the inside of the window. I bolted. Next morning, I asked Curtis again about the place. He sighed. Look, man. Off the record, there was a tenant named Clara who lived there in 2017. She had some kind of breakdown. Said voices were coming from the drains. Security found her one night, sitting in the bathtub not moving. Eyes open, mouth full of water. She never came back. He paused. They found another tenant dead in there 2 years later. Guy who wasn't even on the lease. Same thing. Drowned. In a dry tub. I felt sick. That night I blocked the window with cardboard. I didn't want to see her anymore. But at 3:12 a.m. I woke up to my phone buzzing. A video. No number. Just airdropped. I almost didn't open it. But I did. It was shot from my window, looking directly at me. I was asleep, mouth open, head tilted back. In the reflection of the glass behind me, I saw her, standing by my bed. I threw the phone across the room. By the time I turned on every light, she was gone. I moved out the next day. But sometimes, even now, I get airdropped videos from unknown senders. They're always of me, always from outside the window. And in every one, no matter where I move, she's getting closer. I used to live on the ground floor of a small brick apartment complex in Oregon. My unit was 102. The one next to mine, 103, was always quiet. Too quiet. At first, I didn't even think anyone lived there, until I met the man who did. It was a rainy Saturday when I saw him. I was taking out the trash and passed by his window. The blinds were half open, and he was just standing there, motionless, watching the dumpster, watching me. He was in his 60s, pale, very pale. His skin looked like wax. He had short gray hair and wore the same thing every time I saw him. A white tank top and brown pajama pants. I gave a polite wave. He didn't move, not even blink. That was the first time. Over the next few days, I noticed him more and more, always standing, always watching, sometimes in his window, sometimes behind the screen door, just barely visible, sometimes in the laundry room, doing nothing, just standing next to the machines. I told my buddy Jay, who lived 2 buildings down, and he said, "Man, that's Harold, or at least, that's what people call him. He's been here forever, but nobody ever sees him come or go. Seriously. Ask anyone." I laughed it off. Maybe he just keeps to himself. Jay didn't laugh. "There's rumors. Some say he died in there years ago. Some say he never speaks because his tongue's been cut out. I don't know, man, but I wouldn't mess with him. I didn't plan to. But Harold had other ideas. One night, around 1 a.m., I heard knocking, not at my door, on my bedroom wall. The wall I shared with Harold. It was soft, slow, deliberate. Knock, knock, knock. I sat up, unsure what to do. I waited. It stopped. I figured maybe pipes or something. But the next night, same time, it happened again. Knock, knock, knock. 3 knocks. Every time. Never more, never less. I banged back. Nothing. Next morning, I went outside and tried to catch him, maybe say something, but his blinds were shut tight. Still, that night again, 3 knocks. I didn't sleep. I just stared at the wall. Around 4 a.m., I couldn't take it anymore. I walked out, barefoot, and knocked on his door. No answer. I turned to leave, but then clicked the door open a crack. "Hello?" I whispered. Nothing. No movement. Just a dark apartment and a smell musty, like old newspapers and wet carpet. I nudged the door open a little more. "Harold?" Still nothing. I stepped inside. That was a mistake. The place was dark. No lights on. Every window covered in aluminum foil. There were stacks of books everywhere, all of them open, as if someone had been trying to read them all at once. The pages fluttered in the breeze from a small fan. Then I saw it, in the corner of the living room, facing the wall. Harold, still, silent, kneeling. I froze. His back rose and fell slowly. He was breathing. I backed out slowly and shut the door. Didn't sleep a second that night. Next day, I told the building manager. He said, "Harold hasn't paid rent in 2 years, but someone always slides an envelope under my office door on the 1st of the month. No name, just cash. That night, no knocks. But when I went to bed, I saw something under my pillow, a single black and white photo of me, sleeping, and in the background, Harold, standing in the corner of my room, facing the wall. I moved out within 48 hours. Weeks later, Jay called me. "You remember Harold?" "Yeah, he's gone." Cops came. Someone filed a report about a smell. They broke down the door. Said he'd been dead for months, mummified. The coroner said at least 6 months. That couldn't be, because I had seen him 2 nights before I left, standing in his window, watching me. I rented a room in an old Victorian house in upstate New York during the pandemic. The owner, a woman in her late 70s named Margaret, lived upstairs. She barely left her room and mostly communicated by notes or short hallway chats. Said her knees were bad and the world got too loud. I didn't mind. The rent was cheap and I had the whole downstairs to myself. There was a fireplace, creaky wooden floors, and a heavy silence that made it perfect for writing. But there was one rule. Margaret pointed at the basement door the day I moved in. "You never open that door. Never go down there. I keep it locked for a reason. You understand?" I nodded. "Yeah, of course. No problem." Simple enough. But curiosity is a funny thing, especially when it starts to whisper. The door was old, thick, with rusted hinges and chipped white paint. A single deadbolt kept it shut, and for the first few weeks I didn't give it much thought until the sound started. At first, it was just creaking, like shifting wood, then knocking, slow, uneven, from beneath the floor. Sometimes it came at night, sometimes mid-afternoon. I told myself it was the furnace or plumbing, but deep down I knew it wasn't, because one night I heard something else. A voice, soft, childlike, calling from behind the basement door. "Please let me out." I froze. Every hair on my neck stood up. "Margaret?" I called out. No answer, just the quiet. Then the voice again, a little more urgent. "He's down here. I don't want to play anymore." I backed away from the door, my heart pounding. The next morning, I told Margaret. She looked at me like I'd said the sky was green. "There's no one down there," she said sharply. "Don't ask again." I tried to argue, but she just turned and walked back upstairs. I should have let it go, should have ignored it. But 2 nights later, I found the basement door unlocked, deadbolt hanging loose, key still in the lock. I told myself, just look, one peek, that's all. I opened the door. The smell hit me first, wet earth and mildew. The steps were wooden and steep, and the light switch didn't work. So I used my phone's flashlight. The beam cut through the dark like a knife. The basement was huge. Dirt floor, old furniture covered in sheets, shelves full of jars. Some with liquids, some I don't know. Unidentifiable. Then I heard breathing. Quick, shallow. It wasn't mine. I swept the light around the room and saw movement in the far corner. Something ducked behind a wooden beam. "Hello," I said. No answer. Just more breathing. Then I saw them eyes. Two small, wide eyes reflecting the light. A little boy, maybe 8 years old. Dirty face. Pale skin. No shirt. "Are you okay?" I whispered. "What are you doing down here?" He opened his mouth to speak. But then another voice, deep, gravelly, came from the shadows behind him. "He can't leave. He belongs to me now." I ran. I slammed the basement door shut and locked it, my hands shaking, breath gone. I didn't sleep that night. The next day, Margaret was waiting for me in the hallway. Her eyes looked distant, sad, but there was steel in her voice. "I told you not to go down there." "Who is he?" I demanded. "What's down there with him?" She sighed. "My grandson, Benjamin. He disappeared when he was 7. That was 30 years ago. I didn't know what to say. His father, my son, he was into dark things, the kind of things that leave stains in time. One day they both vanished. Only Benjamin came back, but wrong. Not alive, not dead, just stuck." She stared at the door. "And now he calls to anyone who listens." I moved out that weekend, but I can't forget what the boy said. "I don't want to play anymore." Some nights, I still hear knocking under my apartment floor. And once, just once, I swear, I heard a whisper, "Please don't leave